All right, guys, welcome. My name is Eric Jackson. Thanks for showing up this morning. I know it's early and it's the day before Thanksgiving, so a little rough, but some quick info and just want to make sure there's no big questions. I would hate for anybody to go into the weekend not knowing what's going on or whatever. So we'll do this quick. I'll try to be brief. We'll do this quick meeting. A lot of times in week one, I don't have a meeting because the week one video is a walkthrough essentially. So I'm not going to walk through the assignment. I walk through the assignment within the assignment. So I don't want to do the same thing here. I want to just kind of give you guys an introduction to the class and talk about the things that we're going to be doing this month, so you guys have a basic understanding of it and see if everybody's, at least up and running and live. Everybody is starting brand new with live this month. Excuse me, unless, you've previously used it. But most of the time, nobody has. It was the same situation with me when I first started using live. I got like a light version or something like that, and from a friend of mine, and he had bought he bought something, and I thought it was a light version, but it ended up only being a trial. So I started making a song in it. I learned it. I came home after work one day. I remember I went out on the porch and just started playing around with it. And I've been working with DAWs and gear and stuff like that for so long that, it's all kind of based off all those, the best of all those things Ableton is. Ableton's been around for quite a while, and it was created by two producers that said, hey, we need something better than what Pro Tools and Logic and Cubase or whoever else is offering, and this is what we want to do. And the uniqueness of not Pro Tools, but Ableton Live, sorry, I moved that, there we go, is this window right here. I'm gonna move my chat window out of the way here. Everybody sees this window and gets freaked out. It's not that bad. We're not gonna work in this mode this month unless you want to. It's not gonna be a requirement. But if you'd like to, even better. That would be even for the greater. So first thing you do once you get into live, the very first thing you're going to want to do is just hit tab, and it takes you into the secondary window. And once you get into the secondary window, things start to look a little bit more like Pro Tools or Logic or other DAWs that you've been involved with. So let's briefly go over what we're looking at real quick. So like I said, we hit tab. Go into this mode. Up here is our BPM. That's our beats per minute. You guys know what that is. This little thing here is our metronome. I have my output set to Zoom. I just got this computer set up, so my Zoom settings went all out the window. I was trying to get them done again today. Are you guys hearing anything through Ableton right now? Can you put it in the chat? I don't believe you are, because I'm not hearing it myself. Oh, you do hear it. Oh, that's great. Oh, good news. Oh, perfect. Okay, cool. There's something just up with my stuff then, so I'll figure that out on my end. I don't need to hear anything right now. Cool. So that's our metronome. So we can turn that on and off. And there's different options and different things like that over here. You can do a count in if you want. Classic sound. They have different rhythms, depending on what you're trying to go for, It's different settings as well for the recording and for the click track. This is our play, stop, and record button. Oh, you hear me, but not the metronome. Gotcha. Okay, so it's not working. Cool. So I'll go back into preferences. See, I was trying to send it out Zoom audio here, but it's giving me a hard time. And I'm literally just getting this computer set up yesterday and today, so bear with me a little bit. I'll stop talking when I play audio, so we'll check it out real quick. Oh, somebody else in the waiting room. Okay, so I'll be quiet so we can hear this, but this is the metronome, very simple. Cool. So you guys can hear the metronome now, right? You should be. Cool, thanks. All right, so we got the metronome, we have our play, stop, and record. Now, just like in any other DAW, if you want to record something on a track, let's come over and check out one of these tracks. We have MIDI and audio tracks here. Of course, you can add more, but let's say with a MIDI track, if I want to record something MIDI, first thing I have to do is put an instrument on it. It's a MIDI track, but there's nothing on it. It's an empty MIDI track, just like these are empty audio tracks. So I'll need to first put an instrument on here and then hit record arm, then hit record up here. And once I hit record up here, I'm going to get I'm going to get a count in, and then I'll be able to record. Oh, I'll show you one more tip too. Since, I could hook my little keyboard up, but I'm not going to hook my keyboard up right now. I'm going to show you guys. There's this little icon up here in the top right-hand corner. If we click that, it's a little keyboard icon. It's very small. So if we hit that, now I'm pressing just my Mac keyboard, and you can see I'm getting MIDI signal here. Still, there's no instrument on here, so we're not going to go to that part yet. But if I wanted to record, this needs to be armed. You can see if I unarm it and I hit those same buttons, I see the signaling here, but nothing coming through here, the actual MIDI channel, until I hit record on. So I know it's very basic, but a lot of people get very confused on that. So I just wanted to kind of paint that out real quick. So I'll hit record up here. We'll hear a count in. Oh, sorry, new Ableton, no count in. Count in, 1 bar count in, sorry about that. And I can play my notes. I'm just playing these from my typing keyboard. So if you are traveling or working or stuck without your MIDI controller for whatever reason, that always is an option, okay? So cool. Here, this little plus button, this is what we want to put on if we wanted to add something to this MIDI recording. Instead of just straight recording over it, let's say I can double click that MIDI as well. Sorry, let me move some zoom windows out of here if I'm able to. Here. Now, if I double click like I just did on this, I can see my MIDI. I can even see my improper timings here. All right. So there's a whole other editing window down here. I can just control click. I'm just control clicking in this edit window. And these are all very basic options, the same things you guys see in Pro Tools or Logic or anything else. It's just kind of in a different format. So I tell people it's like a new house or a different house or a different city. Most houses and most cities, they all have like the same types of things. Most houses have bedrooms, bathroom, some type of closet. You can find your way through a house. You can find your way through a DAW as well. They all have pretty much the same things. They're just laid out in different areas, So once we get in here, we can go to quantize settings. We can hit quantize. There's a key command for that, Command U. But I would say check out your quantize settings. You can check that. It's stuck to current grid right now. So whatever our current grid is, that's what it's going to go to, or I can change it to any one of these. So I'll change it to 16ths, even though it's in 16ths. I like to keep it there. And I can also come down here and change my grid, this grid. Your grid is also adaptive to your zoom. So the more I zoom, you can see the bars and things like that. All the time counters get much smaller. Okay, so that would be 1 bar we're looking at right here. All that is just 1 bar. So we can zoom way on in there with MIDI and audio. So back to what I was saying, if I wanted to re-record or record something over the top of this, I can octave up. I'll just hit record. Cool. So I just pressed a button. Of course, there's no sound, but I'm just showing you guys how the signal can overlap. And if I wanted to quickly quantize, I can hit Command U. Now see, this one was so off that it won't fix. So I got to kind of go in there and fix it a little bit. So you got to be conscious of what you're doing. That's in any DAW. With MIDI, sometimes you got to go in there and do surgery if you want to get it to sound like a real instrument or get it to sound the way you want. A lot of times we hear very simplistic songs and say, man, how did this song get so popular? There's only, 3 instruments or whatever the case is in the song. What happened? Well, what happened was they used those sounds very smart, whether they played them or whether they programmed them or a little bit of both. And most likely in these days, they're getting in here and doing fine tweaks to this. And I mean, this stuff is like second nature to me. I already know with certain things with my drums, I don't quite move them over that much, but I take my grid off. You can turn your grid on and off by hitting Command 4, okay? Command 4, grid on and off. That's a good one. All right, so I'm gonna hit Command 4 again, and that will turn my grid back on. And that also turns the grid on and off up here. See, so I can just do fine selections and edits and different things like that up here. All right. So we got that. Moving on. We'll go through some of this stuff a little bit later. It's for punch-in recordings and stuff. This is your loop window. So if we turn this on, so many Zoom windows in the way. Once I turn this on, you'll see this little thing becomes active. You know, I can click off of it and I'll click back on it and it turns solid with bars. And of course, this is our looper, so we can stretch the sound as much as I want, or as little as I want. You know, 4 bars, 8 bars, 12 bars, whatever, to 16. And that's another thing I want you guys to pay attention to this month as well. Not that you don't pay attention to it, but lack of better terms, pay attention, be aware of, you know, your bars and beats. You know, that's a very simplistic thing to count, especially in these digital formats, but sometimes I get songs that are all off kilter, and not that there's many rules, but you know, there are rules. There are rules. You have to know the rules to break the rules. And the older I get, the further, the firmer belief I have in that in music. So I know a lot of people are starting off, or maybe not even interested in straight production, but this is a way that this is just another tool in your belt. You know, another weapon in your, you know, arsenal. Something else to use. So let's see here. I'm talking about the Zoom. Yeah. So pay attention to your bars and beats, know what you're doing. And there's another thing I like to do in this class as well, which I'll point out really quick, and that is locators. So as we're going through the month, I like to see song form. I like you guys to practice your song form a lot. I don't ask for very crazy song form. You know, I'm not asking for anything, you know, classical style, or, you know, I want this to all be modern production as much as we can anyway. And I'm going to give you guys loops and sounds and stuff like that to get you started. And if you guys have your own loops and your own sounds and your own synthesizers, guitars, drums, VST, any type of instrument that you have, you know, feel free to use it as well. I just ask that it ends up in Ableton Live. You know, I don't want to get a screenshot with FL Studio or Logic or something like that. You know, keep it in Ableton. All right. It's going to be a little bit of a learning curve to get through this, but it's not that bad. If you keep an open mind and just stay positive about it, this is an amazing DAW. For me, I've started off on, well, I started off on Cubase or something like that. And then of course, professionally into Pro Tools and Logic and, you know, pretty much Pro Tools to the professional world. But when it came to my music, once I started using Live, I don't know what happened. I just picked up the workflow and started going from there. So don't get too distracted on it being a new thing and all that kind of stuff. That's what we're here to learn, new stuff, right? So let's see. We have our MIDI tracks and our audio tracks. We have these things over here as well. This stuff gets a little more in depth, but that simply is how to turn on and off your typing keyboard as a MIDI controller. So we have MIDI here. And we already talked about our record arm track. We know what solo is. If I turn this off, that's kind of like a mute. It just deactivates the track. And if I was to set up MIDI channels from external gear, like some of the stuff I have behind me, what I have to do is go to configure, and then Ableton will see everything I have plugged in USB or MIDI and show me and allow me to set everything up through there. I can even set up presets of those things, which I have on my main system over here. I have a turntable here. I have 2 samplers and a synth here, an MPC and a keyboard. There. I got my old school sampler here. Tape deck, another push. Synth sampler, synth sampler, synth, synth, synth. All connected through Ableton. All connected through Ableton Live. All with little presets, so I open everything up like a plugin. So we'll check out over here now on this side of the window. So once you come over here, there's a lot of different options. So make sure I'm not missing any chat messages. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, please throw them in the chat here. I'm just kind of going through it here. So over here, the first thing we'll see is sounds. It's just our sounds. All the sounds that Ableton has included broke down into these categories. So if I click on one of these, we're going to see these different types of files. ADG files, I know these are probably kind of small for you, but ADG files and ADV files. The main thing to know for both of these is that they're MIDI. So if I drag this file in, it's a MIDI file, and here it is, a clavinet session. So whatever this is, since this is on record arm and I have this turned on, I can press my buttons on my controller here, on my Mac keyboard, and control the sound. So that's an ADV file. Now, what we have here is an Ableton instrument with a ton of different settings, processes, different filters, global settings, a lot of different things. A lot of these things go really deep. The class isn't really for you to learn the ins and outs of these. It's for you to just take tools like a MIDI tool or a MIDI sound like this maybe, or preferably probably something different. Clavinets are cool, but with effects or something. There we go. Yeah. Nice scale there on my Mac keyboard. So, all right. So there's a lot of cool things. So these are all MIDI. So anything you see ADG or ADV are all MIDI files. Okay. You click on that MIDI track and you have all these different options down here. All these options, all these different parameters are automatable as well. So from this section, I'll bounce back over here really quick. And if you look above your first track, you click that little icon there. It kind of looks like, I don't know what it was, like dumbbells or something, but I'm not too sure what it is. But you can click on that and then I can view my automation. So I'm clicked on this first track. This is my 3 a.m. Lonely Stage piano. And here are the things that I can automate through here. Also, it goes deeper. That's just not it. That's just the base settings. From there, it goes even deeper. So from here, we can go into different macros selected. We have all these different macros created, and you can create all these different things. It doesn't take a lot of effort. Probably a 5 or 10 minute YouTube video will teach you how to create a lot of these things. That's only if you want into the future though. But everything is automatable in here, and Avid and Apple got their automation drop-down window from here because Ableton's had it for well over a decade. So there's that. And we'll keep checking out some of these sounds over here. So I'll just turn automation off for right now. Turn that off. And so here's a bunch of different, we got a bunch of different sounds here, all broke down into categories. So next we'll go to drums. The drums are the same thing. They're all these ADG kits. I can click on them and hear a groove, which is cool. It just kind of gives you a snapshot, like a snapshot of how the sound's gonna, what it's gonna sound like. But if I drag and drop this onto this MIDI track or an audio track is saying, no, it's not gonna let me because it's an audio, a MIDI file. So I'll drag it onto this MIDI track and open it up. And now we have all these options down here. So this kind of opens up like an MPC or machine, or essentially it's to use with one of these guys, a push. So we have, probably can't hear that. Each one of these is a different one-shot sound. If I click on that one-shot sound, I can see the sample here. Each one I click on, I can see the sample here, and I can do editing. So I don't know, let's find something. Let's say this, let's say it's too short. I want it to start there for some reason, I can do that. I can set the start time there. Of course, I can trim up the out time, and I can add like a little fade in or a fade out too. And these help a lot with the pops and clicks that you get with samples sometimes. So it works. So you have all these that you can program. And since I have this option turned on up here, I can octave up and down until I find my samples here within this 64. There's 64 samples that we can load here. Of course, we're only using 16 at a time to keep it conformed to like an MPC or machine. So if I wanted to use my typing keyboard to use this, I can octave up and down by hitting Z and X just on my keyboard. Now this is only for your Mac keyboard. If you're using your other, a MIDI controller or something like that, you want to use the octave buttons that you have on there. Mine's here. Yours probably be somewhere a little different. But check that out, and you can use that as well. So, and with these, You know, some of the sounds are slightly okay. I mean, I don't know. I can just change it out real quick and see. It's pretty loud. Cool. So I'll just put a actual drum kit in there. So with these as well, a lot of them have sounds in it already. So it's already like a pre-made kit. There's no MIDI in it. There's no triggers or loops. It's just sounds ready for you to go. And they're sounds that all work with each other. So you can make a pretty cool basic track just with that. You know, a hip hop beat or something like that. That's not too extensive anyway. You can make it just simply with, you know, with this instrument. So anyway, this is how the drums are loaded up anyway. And you can record these the same way. You know, you can get your MIDI controller, make sure you're armed. You can use your MIDI controller for it, or, you know, whatever you'd like. Yeah, actually find some drums here. 120, let's go to 90 or something. All right, so I got my sounds. I'm gonna record. I got my track enabled. Sorry, I was like listening to my kids talk outside and I totally got lost track. Cool. So left finger beats. Let's see how I did. Not so bad, not so great. So I'm double clicking on this. Just tighten it up so I got a nice loop here. And this is my little performance here. So I know that that's a little off, you know, a little bit of movement in MIDI is okay, but you don't want it to be, you know, too much. And it also depends on the style of music that you're creating as well. I mean, if you're doing anything with kind of like a human feel or a human swing, some of these little things aren't so bad. You just want to be really careful with how you lay it all out. You know, I don't even know how this sounds. I'm just going to play it. Cool. So there's that. That's how you basically, you can lay that out, and you can, you know, I can come up here and there's a little headphone button right here. It's tiny. It took me a while to find it after I was using Live, but it's right there. And once you click that, then I can hear these things. I can trigger all, you know, hear this triggering these sounds, so I can hear what they sound like. So I got hi-hats here. All right, so this is just the basics of laying out something. You know, I wouldn't really want to, you know, call this a song. All I'm doing as well is I'm duplicating these. So I'm just selecting these. I can just select these. I'm going to select it from this line, so I can hit Command D and it'll duplicate those right in that time. All right. So this is a drum loop. It's okay. This is a very basic, very standard drum loop, one of the most basic you can get. And I'm not talking about the performance aspect of it. I'm talking about the mix aspect of it. You know, this sounds very robotic. It sounds very, it could fit. It's a nice sound, but the main thing that's dragging this down for me anyway is the hi-hats. So with these hi-hats, you know, we can take these, you can select them all. And then if we look down here, we can see our velocity. So I'm going to turn the velocity down for these guys quite a bit. Cool. So I'm going to turn every other one up just a bit. Just a bit. And this is that stuff I was talking about, you know, just taking that extra couple of minutes. There's another way to do this as well. It's a little faster. If you take your mouse, your cursor, and you set it on the MIDI that you want, and you hold Command. Now I have a quick, I can control the volume here as well. So I can click on it in case things can get pretty hectic in MIDI, of course. You know, there can be a lot of MIDI files. So I can select these and kind of play around with them a little bit. Kind of forgot what I was doing because I'm talking so much, but cool. I'm gonna take that one, put that here. Cool. So, just kind of doing these little things with your groove can help a lot. Kind of turn them down, get them fitting in the mix nice, Find out what that's going to sound. Cool. Try to place that here. Anyway, I can go on with this all day. So that's just your basic drums, okay? Going on here, we can go down to instruments, and this is where we start getting into the MIDI instruments. There's a bunch in here. I don't want to go through them all. I do, but for sake of time, I don't want to keep you guys all day. So let's pick one of these. Let's go with Wavetable. I don't pick Wavetable too often, and that's a newer synth that I have not played with too often. Now, if you're into any type of electronic or bass music or anything like that, Wavetable is a nice synthesizer. It's I forgot the name of the VST, Serum. It's very much like Serum. A lot of people say it's better than Serum, only it doesn't get the, I don't know, hasn't gotten the recognition Serum has, but a lot of people say it's actually more powerful. I do know personally that a lot of the Ableton instruments, although they may look very basic, are, and not a lot of them don't even look basic anymore, are very powerful. This is, sorry, I'm trying to move my windows down here. Oh, not being, there we go. Sorry about that. And this is Wavetable. So as you can see, there's basic shapes. There's all these different types of things. We can get into a lot of synthesis here, but I don't want to confuse or go down that path. And we can pick the different wave shape that we want. Pick the proper track. That's just the bass sound that comes in clean. You go through your filter settings. Of course, if you want low end stuff, can't hear the low end of that. And this is our, how long this is going to sound takes to come in. Attack, decay, all that. So there's a lot of different things you can play around with in here, and there's tons of presets to play around with as well. A lot of them have automation written on them already. So you can go through and play with that as well. And you would record the same process. It's the same exact way. Let me think here. What else is going on in here? Oh yeah, audio effects. Might need these. The audio effects are great. There's two different ways you can route audio effects. You can, a lot of times in Ableton, is people will drag and drop them right onto the track. So let's say, what are these drums? I'm gonna put an auto pan on these drums. I wouldn't do that probably in real life unless there were drums in the background or something like that, but here's my auto pan. And if I turn up the amount here, now I can watch my signal over on this side of my drums. I'm gonna try to be quiet while they play. You can kind of see them alternating back and forth. Watch, I'll play again. So there's tons of different audio effects that you can drop on here. All of these can be dropped on here or be used as what we have hidden down here are two return tracks set up. So we have a reverb already set up and a delay already set up. So how you route to this reverb and this delay are here on every track. It says infinite, INF, so it's down to 0. So which is first is the reverb. So if I turn this up, we'll now see signal and hear signal coming from the reverb. And I'll do the same for delay. Kind of cool groove. All right, so hold on one second. All right, so that's how you can do these two effects. And you can put anything on here. Let's say you have a delay that you like yourself. I don't have any plugins on here because it's a brand new computer. But let's just say I wanted to put, well, let's just create a new one. You can put anything on here, or you can just create more. Often we'll create one for drums. I'll do like a bus or something like that. So I'll come up here and hit create. And there's insert audio track. insert MIDI track, insert return track. So we'll click that and it pops up down here as C, return C. So I'll take my bus, if I can find it, yep, drum bus right here. I'll drag and drop that here. And then you can kind of go through the settings if you want, change them up or however you need it to be. And then I can add some signal to that. And then that's going to go, this dry signal will go and mix with this compressed signal down here, and it'll be a little louder. You know, it's a good way to, you know, you can add a little bit of that to everything. So you're just getting touches of compression. A lot of times what a lot of people will do as well in Ableton is they'll just drag and drop the effect right on there. We won't use a return or anything, even if it's a delay, it doesn't matter. You can just drag and drop it right on there. The software runs so light that you know, you're able to do that. So I just put a bit reduction tool on here, and I'll take that down to, that's everybody like 8-bit. So we can add a lot of these different tools on here, and all these tools, they do so much. Cool. So, you know, we have different MIDI effects as well. There's only a couple MIDI effects that I want to talk about real quick. I talk about them in the intro as well, but since we're here, the first one I want to talk about is scale. This is a great aspect in live. I don't expect, you know, everybody to use this as a you know, saving grace or anything like that, but you definitely can use it in a live situation or to check your tracks, or if you're working a key that you're not too familiar with, to make sure that you're working in the right, you know, you have all the right notes for your chords and all that stuff. So, all right, we got our little drums here. A bit longer. I'm gonna put my loop on there. Since my loop is active, I'm just gonna draw my loop here, and then I can hit play and it'll just loop over and over. So if I take my scale, there's C major and C minor. Those are the main one. Sorry, here's the scale tool. Here's C major and C minor. These are the main ones that you're gonna look at. There's tons of them in here. Be careful with some of these because it could throw off your song, okay? So I'm gonna use minor because it's typically what I work in anyway. So I'm gonna drag the C minor up to this MIDI track. I can take it to any MIDI track I want, but I'm gonna take it to this one because I'm gonna put some keys or something on there. So I'll drag and drop that there. And you'll see the tool pop up here, right in front of the plugin, right in front of the synth. So here's my bass. My bass, you wanna think of bass as root. So I can work in C minor, you know, C sharp, all the way up, all the way, the whole scale. So anything that I hit, I'm not playing C minor. Here, I'll move up here a little bit. That's definitely not C minor, but it's playing C minor through Ableton. You see what I'm saying? I'll take it to G. Same keys, G minor, something completely different, D sharp. So you can have the, sorry, I know my voice cuts out with this because of the audio, but you can have these control your MIDI in the sense that you won't have any wrong notes. Okay, so like I said, you don't want to use this as a cheat, but it definitely works in a crunch. I don't know how many assignments I get that are unquantized and have wrong MIDI notes in them. A lot. So quantizing, which we went over, you want to do that. And then you can check if you're not 100% on the scale. If you are, then cool. But if not, if you're a little shaky at it, then this might be a good way to go about doing it. I know a lot of people do this for live music, or if they have to come up with some production music very fast. They say, what's the key need to be in? B flat minor? Okay, cool. They'll set Ableton to B flat minor and start coming up with stuff. You know, very fast workflow in Ableton, and very adaptive to your style. I meet people all the time. I've been using Ableton for over 10 years. Sounds weird to say. But it still seems new. You know, of course, a new version's coming out next year, and they stay up with the updates and everything. But you know, there's some really great tools, and everybody that I meet that uses live seems to use it in a different way than the way I use it, so I can learn from them. And I do the same thing with you guys. I pick up techniques all the time. I'm like, oh, look what they did there. Whoa, that's cool. You know, so it's a constant learning situation, and that's the mindset that you guys want to be in. You know, for this class, for every class, you know, in this degree program. We got a few people in here. You don't have to answer if you don't want. I'm not trying to call anybody out. But who produces music or has a goal in mind to produce music once they're done with this degree program? You can just put a yes or a no or whatever in the chat window. Yes, yes, okay, cool, awesome. So we have 2 yeses. We have 1 I do, 1, 2, 3, 3 yeses. Cool. So everybody is into producing music, so for the most part. So that's great. And even if you're not, you don't want to tie your hands. You know, that's one thing I found out in life. I was talking to a student last month, is that you know, you kind of set out in life thinking one thing and you kind of end up somewhere else a lot of the times, you know. And not that that's a bad thing. A lot of times it's good, because your mind changes through time, but you have an open mind when you're young to do and learn things, especially in this field. um, it's very easy to get stressed out and closed minded. You really want to, that's the challenge in this career. You really got to keep an open mind when it comes to creativity, of course, with those structures that we have set in place. And you know, a really big part of this class is doing something a bit different. You may have done this in other courses, but we're doing it quite a bit this month, not this week, but for the rest of the month. We're going to be working with other projects, pre-made projects, and taking our own creativity and meshing it with somebody else's vision to create, you know, a product. And essentially that's what this class is going to be doing. You're going to get you're going to get feedback. If there's something wrong, I'm going to give you the opportunity to fix it. You always have the opportunity to fix it. You know, even if I don't say so, even if I forget to say, hey, you can turn this back in. If you fix it and turn it back in, I'll grade it. Unless it's, you know, way late or whatever the case, you know, but I'm pretty lenient, but I do expect everybody to, take, you know, it's pretty much handle their own weight as much as possible. Of course, if you have questions, let me know, but you know, please do your best and, you know, get the most out of this class and your education. I don't know how many countless studios I've walked into thinking or assuming that it's going to be one DAW and it ends up being something completely different, you know, and I have to just kind of figure it out, or I don't get the check. You know, if I don't figure it out, I go home, which can't happen. You know, you got to figure it out. So you gotta be like, I got to go get a coffee, or I got to go to the bathroom. You're looking up the manual or something on your phone. That's kind of the way you got to be with this. So, now is your time to explore. I'm looking for creativity this month, and I'm looking to hear your signature sound. Your signature sound. I know that sounds like a big phrase, and I usually don't use that phrase, but that's essentially what I'm meaning. You know, you guys are all going through this degree program, which is, I think, is an amazing degree program. One of the best for coming out into this industry right now. Well, actually, the best. I think you guys get a lot of great tools, a lot of well-rounded tools to get out there and just do, you know, just produce, you know. But I'm sidetracking and forgetting where I was going. But anyway, don't have a closed mind when it comes to Ableton. I want to hear your signature sound. Everybody can use the same loops. Everybody can use this. Everybody can do that. But what makes you an individual? What's your, you know, what's your thumbprint? What's your fingerprint on this music? What makes this say this is you? This represents you in some way. You know, that's what I'm looking for. Because I can get a lot of people just to stick blocks in of loops and, you know, make sure they all say C or A minor. That's not the challenge. The challenge is to take things that are basic or things that might be a little plain and turn them in to something else. And that's what you guys are going to do with your music skills and your audio skills this month. Another thing, and everything that you guys use this month, you can use as a, like a portfolio. So you guys want to start getting a professional portfolio set up, meaning that if you don't have an Instagram or something like that, that's just for your business production stuff, you're going to want to do that. Don't have it mixed in with your normal account and all that stuff. A lot of people don't want to see that. A lot of clients, they don't want to see all your, you know, pictures or anything like that. They just want to see the work because they're there for business. Boom, 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 boom. You know, I want the check. I don't want to hear about your life, you know. I'm just kidding. But when it comes down to that, you know, I want to stay professional and stay to it. So everything that you use this month, you can use for that professional portfolio. And you're not going to have the same thing as everybody else, I guarantee. Week 1 might be a little similar. Week 2, a little less similar. Week 3, completely different. Week 4 is going to be completely different for everybody. So you guys are going to have some really good original productions. And yeah. You see anything else I need to go over? We have these scale tools. Don't forget about those. I don't really mess around with anything else in here. Max for Live is great, but that could be a degree program all on its own. Max for Live is Max is a software company that I don't know if Ableton bought them or not. I haven't been in the loop with that too much, but they create different things like kind of like Native Instruments Reactor, if you're familiar with that, like little synthesizers and different effects, things that you can create yourself using different little tools that they have available. It's really in depth and pretty amazing. But I know people that you can spend a lot of time in there, and people make some amazing tools in there as well for live performances or for musical performances. Random triggers for MIDI sounds, like there's different things. One came out a few weeks ago that I can hook up one of these machines and it'll just trigger different tones out of it, kind of like a signal generator, a musical tone generator at whatever key that I say, and of course whatever BPM I say. So I can just turn it on, walk away while I'm cleaning, and just listen to just weird, random, not weird, but just real pretty, nice, relaxing synth tones from whatever I set up here. It's pretty cool. They got tons of tools in there. So don't sleep on that if you don't have to. I mean, it's huge, but you know, there's a lot of stuff in there. Plugins is where you would set up your plugins. I don't have any currently right now, but I will show you how to get those set up. We'll go to clips, and these are all the different actual clips, that MIDI clips that are within Live for one reason or the other. Actually, kind of worked. That was weird. Just took that weird groove and drug it in. Huh, interesting. Okay, so all these are just different MIDI grooves, drum grooves, different things like that, but all MIDI. Samples are all just the audio samples that live within Live. Okay, packs are different things that you can go through. You can go to Ableton and check out more of these. A lot of them are free. You can check the ones out that are for free and download those if you want. You're not required to download any, actually, but I would suggest at least getting like this B Tools. These are paid ones that I've gotten through the company, but there's so many, 53 available that I can download from right now just because I'm signed in. These are all free. So you can see the names, these different drum machines. There's probably 30 or 40 different drum machines, 808, 909s, all these different things. Drum booth, that's different drum samples, drum kits, all sampled down. I mean, you can see that. Where'd it go? Anyway, drum machines, 420 megabytes, but like electric keyboards, 6 gigs. So some of these can get pretty big, but they're pretty good. They have a lot of good sounds and stuff like that in them, and they're fast to use. Your user library is just all your own stuff, and current project, of course, and you can add a folder. That's another thing I want to show you guys. So that was a lot. Take a mental break here. All right, so to get your plugins set up in Ableton, we'll click on up here where it says Live. Go to Preferences. This here so I can see. And these are all my stuff. All my stuff in here. So I got look and feel. I can change my language or my look or whatever I want. So much better. Okay, cool. Go to audio. Here's my audio setup. If you had an audio card set up, then you could set that up here, or here for input and output. You have your sample rate. I set mine to 48. You can set yours to 41 or 96, whatever you'd like. And I keep mine high quality. Your buffer size is for different instruments or synthesizers that you have set up, or just buffering in general. If the lower this is, then the less buffering you're going to have. You can get test tones and different things like that. So plugins, go down to plugins, and you can turn on use audio units on. Use VST systems folder. I use everything in the systems folder because I don't have any custom folders. So I turn that on and I can just hit rescan and it'll kind of figure that out. Now I don't have anything. Oh, it says I do. I have a couple things installed here, I guess. Melodyne, I don't know. I guess that's from Logic. But since this is a newer computer for me, I don't have anything installed yet. So that's how you would set up your plugins. Now, have you download some loops in week 1, and how you add those. If you want to add a sample folder in here, you can do that by hitting add folder. And wherever you have all your samples and loops, wherever you have those at, whether it's on your hard drive, your main local hard drive, or an external hard drive, you can set that up here. You can find where it is. Let's say it's in, you know, I don't know, anywhere here, I can pick Adobe Media Encoder 14.0 and hit open, and that folder will now open up in here while I have access to it. So it's very simple. You click on that and you find your folder and you got all your samples right there. And if you have a lot of samples, it may take a little time to catch up, but you know, it'll eventually catch up. Okay, so that's Ableton Live. As well, you have your master down here as well. And we're gonna keep going over different things, you know, every week like this, but this is more of the crash course. Let's get into the actual assignment. How about that? So let me move all my talking and controlling windows here. And this is our assignment. And Trevor, I'm using you as an example. If you see this, my bad. So welcome to your first production. In this assignment, you're going to be given loops to create a song. All the loops will provide the key and BPM information. So the thing you're going to want to do is go to this website. Yes, I'm on this website a lot. I just clicked on it to see what it was all about, and they have my new album on there right immediately when you get to the page. So I'm on this page quite a bit, but you can scroll down or click on all sample packs to get to the sample packs. Okay, now here, well, they're all really cheap right now because I guess Black Friday sale or whatever, but you guys get some for free. So I'm going to click back into the instructions here. So we click on the pad pushers, you're going to find Beat Suite, Analog Artistry, and Emotional Oscillators. So if you're lazy like me, you can just highlight the name and copy it. Oops. We'll come here, this guy out of the way, and I'm just going to hit search. Beat Suite. Hit enter, and there it is. So once you find these, you just add to cart. That's it. Find all three and add to cart. What was the other one? Analog Artistry. I know, it's very easy, but I'll find Analog Artistry. And check some of these packs out. I mean, these are pretty interesting. I don't know if anybody ever looks at these, but these are, you know, sample packs. You know, this one's on sale for $5 right now. But, you know, in other sites, oh, it's on sale here too, because they're having a Friday sale too. Well, it's $10 here, but typically it's like $30, you know? So it's a good deal. And these are great packs. You get 3 of them. One is an Ableton kit. So once you get all these, I'll add to cart. Once you get all these in, you get 3 of them in there. Okay. You're going to go to checkout. And yeah, you got to put all your info in, you know, and then you put your discount code in right there. Once you put your discount code in there, that will change to 0. You hit apply, download, and you guys got your samples. Now it only works for these samples, these ones here. I get people emailing me back saying, hey, I'd like to check out this one and this one. Sorry, I don't have a lot of control over that right now. But these 3 I can give to you. The Beat Suite is kind of a hip hop based one, kind of hip hop, you know, it's called Beat Suite. So it's got a lot of stuff for beats, kind of the beats are kind of New York style, East Coast style, more Detroit style, I guess, like Jay Dilla. A lot of kind of things like that. If you're into that, the Analog Artistry is exactly what it is. It's analog synthesizers, it's Moogs, it's Dave Smith Prophets, and all these different types of analog synths with drums thrown in there for more of an electronic feel, where the Emotional Oscillators is all synths. There's no loop samples in there. They're all synth, like preset sounds with MIDI as well. But that one's more for you know, playing notes and doing stuff like that. So once you get all that, use the code Full Sail CPT, and you know, you'll have a quick checkout. So after that, you can watch this next video. This next video, I'll go over a lot of the stuff that I just did, but then I go over the assignment as well, or I kind of do them both at the same time. So this is a good video to have on maybe while you're doing the assignment. It is a little long because I have to go through the intro just like this, but sometimes I just feel like I need to do it, you know, to just get that info out there. I want to make sure everybody has it so nobody's confused. So a couple things that I do ask for: no clipping on the master track. We're beyond that at this point. We can't have any clipping on our tracks anymore. That stuff's done. That time is gone, right? Implement at least 3 loops provided. Edit them to taste. If you want to edit them down, feel free. If you don't, you want to just straight loop it, go for it. Let's say some people are been making music for a long time and they have their own loops. Well, just let me know you use your own loops. That's all I ask. I'm not hard set on using these loops that you downloaded. I wanted that as an option because when I first started the class, I didn't offer them, and a lot of people didn't have sounds. So they were kind of stuck, or they were trying to go out and buy sample packs and stuff like that, which can get pricey. So I figured I would give these ones. And I kind of filter them out or swap them out every so often so everybody's not getting the same pack for free. Um, but yeah, 3 loops at least, okay? One Ableton instrument, one MIDI instrument. I would prefer Ableton if you could, just to show me that you're using it. But if you have something else, then cool. A lot of times what people will do is if they have a favorite synth or an external synth or something like that, they'll lay that out and they'll take the MIDI from that and drop it down to an Ableton, one of the Ableton instruments, one of the many we have here, tons of presets. You know, analog is kind of like an analog synthesizer, drum racks. Electric is, of course, electric pianos and bells and weird things like that. So this one's a chord. So anyway, I can play this stuff all day. Never mind. So that would be an example of an Ableton instrument. So next, your song must be at least 2 minutes in length. Not 2 minutes exactly, but at least 2 minutes. If it's 4 minutes or something like that, that's fine with me. But your song must have structure. That's another thing I wanted to show you guys in here in live of how we can place some locators to help, one, show us how the structure of our song is going to be, and two, just quickly so I can see it when I'm grading and I can say, okay, I see that they have structure of a song. Here's an intro, here's verse 1, here's the chorus, whatever the case is. And I ask for everything to be in a proper key, whatever key that you choose to use. A lot of them are going to be based, if you're going to use these loops up here, they're going to be based on what you use of these loops. So if you grab a loop that says A minor or something like that, then that's probably what you're going to want to stick in. You know, you don't want all these different keys all over the place because it's not going to sound good. Okay. So how we create these little structure markers here, I'll click in live and I can just set my cursor down anywhere I'd like. And I'll set it down here in the beginning. Well, that's kind of chaotic. I'll set it right here. I'll go to create and add locator. And then I can name it right up here at the top as well. You know, and I can add these anywhere. And once you get them, you can move them around or do whatever. So that could be I can have this one here. I'll control click and rename this to intro. And then let's just say my first verse was here, 4 bars in. So I can hit create locator and I will just call this verse 1, you know, count some bars, whatever. And, you know, and then of course you're going to have music in here, or you can set it up like this first and kind of say, okay, this is how I want my intro. I know my, you know, my verse is going to be 8 bars, you know, or 4 bars or whatever it is. So you can set that down and create your locator. And then I'll just put like chorus or hook here, you know, and then just for laughs here. I mean, it'll probably be more space than what I have here, but I'm just showing you guys. Add locator, and this would be like, you know, verse 2 or something to that effect. And that way you're practicing as well as creating. So you're setting these guidelines, and then you can do whatever you want, of course, as long as everything's in key and things are falling within proper timing. The world is yours, you know? And that's still a pretty big world to live in audio wise. You can do all these things with these sounds. So that's a great way. That I get a lot of students, they fight against this, they don't do it, but then once it comes to week 4, they're like, oh, I'm so glad I'm using these. So try to make something like this a part of your music making. Once I started doing this, I don't think I have my session up anymore. I had a session back here earlier and I had everything set up the same. And it just helps, because if I get stuck on a part and I say, yeah, the chorus isn't done yet, if I need to go back to the chorus, I'm not like, well, where's that? It's around somewhere. I'm like, oh, there's my chorus right there. Boom. Just faster, you know, a lot of, you know, for sake of time. I know getting older and different things in your lives, you know, you've got kids and families to take care of. You don't got time to sit around. And so all these little shortcuts help quite a bit. They help me. And I know they help other students as well. So give them a chance and try them out and see if it helps you. So we're going to create a screenshot, which is Shift Command 4, export a WAV file. turn in a compressed folder containing the finalized zip, screen, and screenshot through FSO and name it. This is the example. Jackson Eric CPT01_AM. That's just because that's what I'm just saying that's what my song's key would be in A minor. If yours is in C or whatever else, that's what you would want to put in there, of course. So yeah, wow, we're just almost at an hour here. So I think I'm gonna chill. I didn't mean to go for an hour, but it's hard once you get going, you know, because you want to make sure everybody has what they need. And you know, if you like I said, you know, I'm not trying to give people zeros and all this kind of stuff. If you have a problem with an assignment, let me know. You know, if you got a problem and something's going to be late, just let me know. If you tell me a week later or at the end of the month, like, hey, I haven't understood anything, but you haven't asked any questions and you haven't came to any of the meetings, then yeah, you're going to be lost. You know, I need to know the info so I can help you, you know? So reach out, please explore. Would you be willing to unlock the whole month so we can work ahead? Ooh, that's a good question. You know, I probably have to ask the program director about that. I mean, I personally wouldn't mind. I don't have to see if I'm allowed to do that or not, I guess. I haven't been asked that in quite a while, many years here at Full Sail. So let me find out. And at least by next week, I'll have a good answer for you, Tatum. So sorry, I don't mean to hold anybody up on working. So for sure, I understand. So yeah, I don't want to argue or try to, you know, stress the importance of the class. I hope that you would get that yourself. I am a producer. I make music. I make sample packs. I had a successful radio show. I ended it myself in Ibiza. I had it for probably 6 or 7 years on FM radio. I did all that in live. I've done sound for film, for, you know, feature films and theaters, done the sound design in live, voiceovers, recordings of all different types of things, done it in live. All my music's done in live. All my sample packs I make are created in live. Everything I do for the most part is created in live. You know, so I really believe in it. You know, I can use other gear, and of course I use I use all these instruments as well. So I usually use all these first and then turn on live and get to recording or something at that point. But everybody's workflow is different. And at first I started off just with, I'll show you if you got a minute. Look at this old sampler right there. This bad boy is what I started off on sampling and using right there. So you take that and you trigger it, you know, and this runs off this bad boy. So, you know, vast difference coming from a machine like that sampling to, you know, machines like that, MPC sampling, in comparison to what you guys have on your laptops too. Very powerful. So if you guys listen to music from like, you know, older music from 20 years ago or something that just sounds amazing to you, you pretty much have every one of those tools within your machine. You know, there's no excuse for us to have subpar quality really of anything anymore with all the technology that we have now, all the helpful tools, you know, but things go in ebb and flows where, you know, some people like technical music, some people like emotional music, some people like emotional and technical music. So there's vast different areas of where we can take all this stuff, but, you know, it's a fun journey, and it's cool for me to see how you guys start off from week 1 to where you end up at week 4. I was just grading week 4 assignments just the other day, and you know, this past month was really good, really good projects, and you know, I have a feeling it's gonna stay that way this month as well. I know we got a crazy month with Thanksgiving and then the Christmas break coming up, but we're gonna get through it. You know, we'll get all of it knocked out, and you guys will be all set and good to go. And like I said, if you guys have any questions, please just reach out and let me know. I will archive this and post it up later. Yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything, please let me know. Thanks for showing up today, guys. I really appreciate it. I know it's early, and most of our meeting's going to be around this time because I'm doing different classes and stuff like that. And of course, we're all still working from here, which is fine by me. So yeah, you guys have a great weekend. Have a great holiday tomorrow, and hit me up with any problems or anything like that. All right. Have a good weekend, everybody. Take care.